Calhoun here with MMA News, and I'm very excited to talk with my next guest. It's PFL heavyweight Patrick Brady. How's it going, Patrick?
Curtis, nice to meet you, man. How are you?
It's great to meet you too, man. And first things first, we were talking a little bit off air. I mean, it's been a long journey to get to this point with your PFL debut and getting ready for that. What's the excitement level like, and where's your mindset right now?
I mean, it's been a long journey, like as far as my life, but my MMA career has been short, right? And I did what I've done in a short period of time, and a lot of that is just from hard work and focus and dedication and consistency. But you know, there's been trials and tribulations in my life that got me to where I am now.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because as we talked about before, like it's unusual for someone in your situation to be at this point. 39 years old, but obviously, to make it to this point, it's got to be a super confidence booster for you. Just talk to me a little bit about your journey and how you got into MMA and how this all came about.
Yeah, so in 2016, I actually got sober, right? And I checked into a rehab treatment facility February 1st, 2016. And I spent 21 days in an alcohol treatment facility. And it really changed everything for me from that point moving forward. And, by the grace of God, I haven't had a drink since then. And so I spent about 2 years working on myself, working on my mindset, my habits, just who I was as a person. I did a lot of introspective work, on me. And then I started working on the physical me, right? Like my body. And in August 2018, I took like some recovery-oriented boxing match. And I did a little bit of boxing earlier in my life, but like nothing real, right? And I did this recovery-based boxing match, and there was an MMA fighter there who said that MMA fighters were tougher than boxers. So I said, all right, I want to do that. And I had never been on a mat ever in my life. No wrestling background, no jiu-jitsu. I didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was. And then 6 weeks later, I found myself in a cage for my amateur debut. So I've always been the type of person to just throw myself into the fire, right? I've never been scared of anything, ever. And I like to test myself. I like to find out what I'm made of. And, this journey has just been one test after the other, and I'm really proud of myself and what I've accomplished and how I've gotten here. And the journey's not over, man. So, this tournament is a journey, right? It's a season. It's not just one fight. They really gear it towards being multiple fights and the multiple fight mindset. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited.
You mentioned some of the trials and tribulations, and obviously, everybody's journey through life, and not even just combat sports, is different. Talk to me a little bit about that, like through those tough times and being able to overcome them. What did you learn about yourself through those moments that helped you propel to where you are today?
Well, the tough times as a child or as a young adult, I'm a firm believer that some of the strongest minded people come from a traumatic childhood, right? Like I was raised in fire, right? Like I was born in fire, and my household was hectic and crazy, and there was a lot going on, and I just became used to it, right? Like the abnormal became normal for me. So when I'm in the cage and I'm in a bad position, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in bad positions. I've been in a bad position for most of my life, right? Like that's where I exist, in the uncomfort of a fight. So when I'm making that walk, I'm happy to be there, right? Like I'm excited, man. Like, this is where I belong.
No doubt about it, man. And let's talk a little bit about this fight specifically. Obviously, Jordan Hireman is a tough guy, young guy coming up. I think a lot of PFL fans have this fight kind of circled on the card as a potential fight of the night contender in terms of stylistically, how the match looks and all that. I guess, how do you see the fight playing out? What have you seen from Jordan from watching tape, or what have you heard about him? What do you see kind of with this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan's a tough kid, right? Like, he throws in volume, right? Like, he throws a lot. And, you know, he's been in brawls before, right? He's got a couple submissions. He scores the takedown. He does get the takedown. And if anyone has ever seen me fight, they know that I like to push a pace too, right? Like we're in there to fight, not to circle, you know? And I think this fight, you know, does have the potential to be, you know, a very exciting fight, just because we're going to go in there and we're going to throw. Like, it's exciting because, you know, and we're both undefeated as well, right? Like, he's 5-0 or 6-0, I'm 5-0, and that's always fun for somebody to experience their first loss, right? And the fans get to watch it live, right? So, you know, this fight is very exciting for me. It's you know, I was supposed to fight the Andrazak and Goltsov on the Vegas cards, and, you know, they just fell through and stuff happens, and you know, some of those guys have a lot more experience than me, right? I was ready for that, and I'm ready for this one now. But it's not the same. You know what I mean? I think he's a little more on my level than some of the other guys as far as experience.
And do you feel like your jiu-jitsu background, you know, compared to some of the other heavyweights, like, obviously a lot of heavyweights have knockout power, right? That's what gets talked about. But I feel like not a lot of heavyweights have, you know, the ability when they get on the ground to, you know, work the fight there. Do you feel like that kind of gives you somewhat of an advantage over some of the other heavyweights, given your grappling background and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I fight where the fight goes, right? Like, so we train everything. We train MMA, right? So those transitions from standing up to going on the ground, from going on the ground to standing up, we work all of those. And I have a great team around me, right? Like, it's no secret that, you know, I have a premier wrestler, Andre Petrowski, in my corner, and he's a close friend of mine. He's actually my youngest son's godfather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, like, you know, for whatever reason, somehow we always end up getting into a wrestling match for no reason, maybe in the middle of Whole Foods, you know. It just happens. It's just for whatever reason, we're sparring in aisle 9. You know? Like,
right.
But, like, that mentality, like, you know, at my house, there's a wrestling mat on the floor, right? There's a Muay Thai bag. I have everything I need to be a complete mixed martial artist. But, you know, it's no secret that, you know, fights are easily won on the ground. Like, if you're looking to win and not get hurt, it's gonna be on the ground. But, you know, it's a fight, so we don't know where it's gonna go. We don't know what's gonna happen. So that's why we gotta make the walk, you know?
Right. Talk to me a little bit about your team too, because obviously you mentioned Andre. You also work with Chris and Kyle Dawkins, I think,
Yeah,
right, too.
yeah.
So what have you kind of learned from those guys that obviously, you know, might have a little bit more experience and probably have taught you a lot of not even just the physical sense of fighting, but mentally and preparation, how to be professional and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around Chris, and I've done his corner, you know, for other promotions, and he's headlined cards where we've walked out in front of 25,000 screaming fans, right? And that dude's a fortress. He's a mental fortress, and like when you're around people like that, and you just see that nothing phases them, it permeates from them, and you pick up on it, right? Even Kyle, his brother, he fights the same night as I do for CFFC, and you know, like we're with each other, even though we're not with each other, and those guys have been. I can't put into words how instrumental they've been in the growth for me, and how I got where I am now. you know, and yeah, Chris and Kyle Dawkins have been great teammates of mine. I also have my buddy John Mercurio. He was a 6-0 professional boxer. He's in my corner coming out. He flies out Friday morning, and I do a lot of my stand-up boxing work with him. And then also in my corner is Eddie Torres, who has Taino mixed martial arts in South Jersey. Again, striking all around mixed martial arts with him. And then obviously I had my coach that I've been training with, you know, since I made the jump to pro, Will Martinez over at Martinez BJJ in Philadelphia. That, you know, again, he's been instrumental in my growth. So it's been, I've been a sponge from a lot of the people around me, and a lot of the people around me fight at the highest level. So I'm very fortunate.
Couple more questions for me, man. Once again, I really do appreciate the
Yeah,
time.
all good. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I got to ask you too. Like, I want to take you back to your first amateur fight, right?
Yeah.
You know, you fell short, but ever since then, you've been on this streak, and you've gotten better every single fight from what I've seen from your fights. Just kind of talk to me a little about that. Like, what was kind of the turning point that was that kind of a turning point in your career that you kind of, you know, were able to bounce back from that? I guess kind of talk to me mentally, like how you were able to bounce back.
So, like I mentioned earlier, I'd only taken that fight on 6 weeks ever. Like, step foot on a mat. 6 weeks later, I'm stepping foot in the cage, right? So, and that was a split decision, right? Some people would say I won that fight. But he was a wrestler, and he took me down, right? I touched him up a little bit on his feet, and then he took me down. And I didn't know how to get up. Like, I didn't know how to dig an underhook or work the head or, you know. I just didn't know how to get up, right? And like I said, I've traumatic experiences have always been the learning catalyst for me, right? And losing your first fight, if that's not, you know, a catalyst for wanting to get better, then I don't know what is gonna, like, losing is the ultimate, you know,
Learning experience.
yeah, I mean, that's it, man. So from then on, I was hooked. Like I said, I'm an alcoholic, right? So I always did everything in excess, and I took MMA, and I went to excess, and that's what it's been, man. It's been MMA, almost to a detriment of my family life, and you know, my wife, you know, she's there, but I don't get support from her, like, you know, because I work all day. I have a renovations company, right? And then, you know, I come home, quick, rinse off, out the door to the gym, right? And then I come home, and then I got stuff around the house, and it's been a grind. It's been a grind. So I'm excited to be here. You know, this is where all the fruits of my labor. This is where I get to show off.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Last question for me. I got to ask you. Like, we talked about, you know, the tough times earlier in your life, and being able to overcome those. There's probably people watching this right now that might not be in the same situation, but similar circumstances, trying to find a way to, you know, work past that. What's your message to them to be able to work past that and find a light at the end of the tunnel, per se?
Yeah, what the advice that was given to me was keep an open mind and then ask for help. Right? Like, you have to know, you have to be aware of what's happening and then ask for help. And I've always been good with asking for help. It's crazy, and I've always been vocal as to, like, hey, look, this is where I'm at mentally, right? Like, with your experience, where do I get to where you're at? I want what you have, right? And then you have to implement that advice. So, you know, for me, it's always been, you know, keeping an open mind. You know, maybe you're not right? Like, maybe the way you've been doing things isn't the right way, and taking advice and implementing it, and obviously asking for help. So, you know, if anyone's struggling out there with whatever it is, ask for help. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people out there, like, you know, mankind gets a bad rap, right? We get a bad rap because a lot of the negative is highlighted. But there's a lot of good out there, man. And there's a lot of good people out there who are willing to help people. And, you know, that was my salvation. So that's my message, ask for help.
That's what's up, man. Well, Patrick, it was great to meet you. Great to chat with you. Check out Patrick Brady this Friday at PFL 5. Patrick, thanks again for the time. Really do appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man.
Curtis, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.